What does it mean to be a tragic villain done right? Because anime is full of amazing villains, and they are often born from tragedy. So what specifically makes Dabi different? Is it his character, his role in the series, what we can learn from his story? Throughout this video, I'm going to show you why it's all of them, and more. So since we're talking about a tragic villain, we have to start with the tragic part, right? Dabi's real name was Toya Todoroki. He was the first child of the number 2 hero, Endeavor, and this is where all his problems begin. Endeavor's quirk, his ability, is fire. His wife, Rei, her ability is ice. Because he was never able to pass All Might to become the number 1 hero, Endeavor decided he would live vicariously through a child who could surpass him instead, dipping his toes into some eugenics to create the perfect hero. As you can imagine, that's a lot of pressure to put on a child, and like Joel Embiid, Toya doesn't handle it well. From the moment he's born, one belief is instilled in him: become the number 1 hero. This becomes the basis of his world. His flames literally become his identity. So when it becomes apparent that he only has his father's fire, not his mother's ice, and his body can't handle the power of the flames, this is his worst possible outcome. His father sees this and neglects him, tossing him away as if he's an old toy and basically pawning him off on his wife. This only makes Toya more determined to regain his father's attention and make him proud. It's a psychotic drive within him, to the point that he considers murdering his younger brother so that he won't be replaced. But he is. Shoto is born, and he has both of their parents' powers. He is the new golden child of the family. So Toya's dream isn't surpassing All Might anymore, it's being seen by his father. When his purpose is taken from him, all that ambition had to go somewhere, and it did. It became obsession. He continues to push himself harder and harder, even causing himself injury, and yet he still can't get his father to look at him. He goes out into the woods to practice, urging his father to join him, but again, he's ignored, and Toya loses control, setting everything ablaze. After this, his family thought he died in that fire, and in a way he did. Toya died, but Dabi was born. Dabi did horrible things. He admits to murdering at least 30 innocent people. He joins a group called the League of Villains, who are hell-bent on destroying the world. He's a constant thorn in the side of the heroes throughout the series. But to truly understand Dabi, you need to understand his mindset. It's easy to dismiss him as insane, but he actually has a clear philosophy. He believes his actions are outside of his control. They are the result of his father's abuse. Now, you can sum that up as a refusal to accept accountability for his actions, but you can also ask yourself, if your entire identity was created by abuse from your father, where do your own decisions begin and end? So unlike Shoto, Dabi let his pain consume him and eventually define him. You see how this seeps into even little things he says. Like when he talks about the battle Endeavor had with the high-end Nomu, Endeavor's first fight as the number 1 hero, he admits he was afraid his father would lose. And there's so many reasons behind this. Yes, he wanted Endeavor to live so he could be the one to bring him down, but that's not all. He blames every problem in his life on Endeavor. If he's gone and Dabi is still a monster, who could he blame for that? He'd have to come to terms with the fact that he's had power over his own actions the entire time, that he deliberately made the wrong choices over and over again. And while you're here, make sure you check out my Endeavor video or some of my other My Hero ones. The way Dabi's story is told is kind of unique, and it's important for how it frames him within the story. The intrigue was there from the start. One of the first things he says is, "When the time comes, you'll learn my real name." That came in Season 2, and while we learn a little Toya backstory in Season 5, we don't get the actual reveal of who he is until Season 6. Once revealed, we see how Endeavor is responsible for all of this. His neglect of Toya, his abuse of the rest of their family, all of it. So we sympathize with Dabi. As more information unfolds, we get deeper into the family dynamics and even see how Rei's passivity hurt too. This only makes you feel for him more. But then you learn that despite everything that happened to him, Dabi had opportunities to do good, or at least reject evil, and chose not to. Typically, stories show a tragic villain's misdeeds first, then the backstory later to make you feel for them. The framing here is the opposite. After the fire in the woods, Toya was discovered and taken in by a subordinate of All for One, literally the biggest villain of the whole series. He attempted to manipulate the boy into doing his bidding, and despite being a child, one who was essentially in a coma for 3 years, Toya had the mental fortitude fortitude to reject all for one. His body was ready to die, but his mind wasn't. Then he still chose to become a murderer anyway. There are no illusions that he's walking a different path here either. He knows what he's doing is wrong. The worse he is, the more it will hurt his father, but he had to do it his own way, which is kind of hypocritical considering his beliefs, but hey, that's villainy for you. That whole early Dabi aesthetic that we see, the mysterious loner who didn't care about anything, that's a total front for his actual desires, and that's another interesting angle to look at, because the real Dabi is obsessive, sadistic, and expressive, and he had to hide that for ages for his plan to come to fruition. At its core, his arc is about suffering and healing. You can go the way he did, where he used the pain inflicted on him to inflict on others, or you could go the route his brother did and become something greater. Toya never received the love, support, or attention he deserved and craved, which is why he's so jealous of Shoto for replacing him as the golden child. Both brothers were victims. Shoto endured all the same conditions Dabi did, and also let his hatred of his father dictate his actions, to the point that he refused to use his fire entirely. But Shoto received support from people in a way Dabi never did. Even for Shoto, it wasn't an overnight thing. It took time, but eventually he came to terms with his fire being his own. He was able to witness his father's desire for atonement. Dabi never learned to separate himself from Endeavor in the same way. Seeing both of their stories, their shared trauma, and how they went down different paths is a huge part of why his story is both tragic and villainous. Let's talk about him and the League of Villains for a second. They all represent different failed aspects of society. Dabi is about viewing others as tools instead of people, and in turn, he loses his humanity. We see this all throughout his character. He's detached socially, he's lacking in empathy, he doesn't seem particularly interested in the other members of the League, or anything else really. Everything in his life is about getting revenge against Endeavor. So when you see other members get along and find friendship, it only adds to the tragedy. It's not like there's a lack of opportunity here, it's that his past, his beliefs, his unhealthy obsession with his father have made him incapable of getting close to others. His body kind of reflects this too. He doesn't cry tears, he cries blood. There is still feeling inside him, but it's buried so deep beneath his hatred that showing it literally causes him pain. That pain won't subside until Endeavor is dead. Once all of his father's misdeeds have been exposed, the only thing left to do is end him. While that may be the plan, he ends up fighting Shoto instead. And that fight is so important. It's less about the physical and more about the emotional. To Dabi, his brother is everything he's supposed to hate, his replacement, the gifted one. So from his perspective, it makes sense that he'd be raging this entire time. He literally burns his own body to a crisp just by fighting, and this is obviously representing his hatred consuming him. It's in complete contrast with Shoto, who's calm. When you look at it, Todoroki isn't really trying to defeat Dabi. He's giving his brother what he always wanted, someone to listen to him. But after hearing him out, he says something important. Despite everything their family went through, Dabi's the only one who chose to burn people. And that's why Shoto had to win. He chose correctly. He developed a move specifically to stop his brother, one that required a balance Toya never had. While on the subject of their family, it's worth noting Horikoshi is a genius, so when Dabi's hair changes color from red to white, going from his father's to his mother's, I'm sure there's more to it than simply stress. Same with why his flames are blue as opposed to his father's normal ones. My best guess for the flames is to be a visual representation that he's not his father, which is a symbolic counter to his entire philosophy. I still haven't been able to find a great explanation for the hair, but I'm sure there's a deeper meaning to it. But Shoto can't be the end of Dabi's story. No, his final moments must come with his father. This only proves both of their failures. As they battle, we see Toya did have his mother's ice quirk after all, which shows Endeavor's negligence. The son he had was everything he needed, and it still wasn't enough, which of course makes it even sadder what Toya went through. For Dabi, this is the emotional resolution he needed. At the end, he finally got the attention he always wanted, but not just from his father, his entire family. He even says he just wanted to talk more. It's the one thing they never really did when they could. But that proves that's what this was about the entire time, and none of it justifies the actions he took as a villain. And it's fitting that he looks to self-destruct because that's been his tendency ever since he's been on his own. Despite everything Endeavor did, it's been Dabi's self-destructive behavior that's brought them there. The fact that his brother stops him isn't only to prop up Shoto as a hero, it's showing visually that path of self-destruction was wrong, and it ends here. But why does any of this matter? Well, because this is a great example of someone thrown into a brutal situation and then making it worse on their own. When I say tragic villain, both parts apply equally. This character is one that balances both aspects better than most. There are a lot of villains who get redeemed at the end or are so tragic that you don't really fault their actions. One done right is one that makes us question ourselves. When does the fault for Endeavor end, and when does it begin for Dabi? His story is certainly one of tragedy, but he is also undoubtedly a villain. He is a victim and a perpetrator. His past does not absolve him of his crimes. That's what makes his story meaningful to me, because he had the opportunity to be better than his father and chose not to because he was so consumed by hate. All of his family suffered abuse, but only he chose to hurt others. That is absolutely something that can happen in real life. He took his own suffering and made it everyone else's problem. People like that exist all over. His story is about more than suffering and pain, it's about refusing to heal. It's why the contrast with him and Shoto is so powerful. You need to see both sides of the same coin for the full impact to hit, and that's what makes him an important character to talk about. He is the cautionary tale. It's why he couldn't be redeemed either. It hammers the point home that at the end of the day, his end came because of his own decisions. It's proof that the individual matters, that his decisions weren't determined by others. Yes, he was hurt, but he also let that hurt define him. It's why he's a tragic villain done right. Now subscribe or get neglected.